Okay. Now, before I even go on, there's a difference. I say Judaism here because that was the Jewish belief at the time. They were under the law of Moses, okay? And they're going back in and they're reinserting that. They're saying you need to be circumcised, you need to do this and that. Same thing that's in the book of Acts, all leading up and then into chapter 15. Today, Judaism is much different than it was then, okay? What they have is they don't hardly even hold to the books of Moses at all or the Old Testament. I mean, they know that it's written, but their actual standard is the Talmud. That's right. And the Talmud is made up of the Mishnah and the Gemara, okay? And then you've got two Talmuds. You've got the Babylonian Talmud and you've got the one other, I don't even remember, but the main Talmud is the Babylonian one. And it's a giant book, and it's got the commentaries of all of these sages and stuff in the years past. And that is what codified Jewish life until today. And a lot of the stuff that people hold to, and this is almost criminal. I'm sorry to say this because, I didn't know this when I was first becoming a Christian, and I would hear these things, and so I'd add them in because I assumed that these people that were teaching these things knew what they were talking about. But they will take commentaries from the Talmud and they will insert them into their own theology today. In other words, the feasts of the Lord in the Bible do not talk about many things. They're very clear, they're very precise, and all you need is the Bible to understand the feasts of the Lord and what they point to. But what people will do is they will take and they will add in things that the Jews have done over the years into the feasts of the Lord that have nothing to do with the feasts of the Lord from the Bible. Okay, a perfect example of this is that today it's called, what is the first day of the year called in Israel? Begins with Rosh and ends with, Rosh Hashanah. That's right. Okay, so that has nothing to do with the Bible. Nothing. Okay, that is what they call it today. It's the head of the year. But if you are going to go by the feasts of the Lord, you're going to go by the redemptive calendar, which was instituted in, anybody know when that was? The creation calendar began in the month of Tishri, the 7th month, and that was changed in the book of Exodus, chapter 13. He said, this shall be your first of months. Okay, that is the month of Aviv. Okay, so that is their redemptive calendar. All right, they did have a civil calendar, which they went with, but that's all extra. Don't get into that now. Just go by the redemptive calendar of the feasts of the Lord. That is their first of the month. And so the first day of the 7th month is not Rosh Hashanah, which means the head of the year. Okay, the first day of the 7th month is called Yom Teruah in the Bible. Okay, you'd have to go back and watch the Feast of the Lord sermons. And Yom Teruah does not mean the Day of Trumpets. So people add that in as well. The word teruah means to shout or to make an acclamation, and it can include trumpets, but it does not mean trumpets. So people start building on their theology from things that are not scriptural. And pretty soon, the feasts of the Lord have no meaning at all by most teachers. They teach things that are completely pulled out of Judaism. They add in like the marriage ceremony. And I don't mean to offend anybody. There's a lot of people that hold to these things right now that are listening. But the marriage ceremony of the Jewish people, they get married under the chuppah, and they stamp on the glass, and they do all of these things. That is Jewish tradition. That is not biblical in any way, shape, or form. It has nothing to do with the Bible. But all of a sudden, those things get added into the feasts of the Lord. So you've got Jewish family traditions, Jewish cultural traditions, which are added into the Bible that aren't in the Bible in any way, shape, or form. And so you have confused theology. So that is just as bad is what is being described right here. The people are going in and they're adding the law of Moses back into their theology and saying you need to adhere to the law of Moses, which is what Paul is going to write all of his book of Galatians about. Don't do this thing. But I want you to understand that until you know Scripture, you're adding in all of these things to the feasts of the Lord damages your theology concerning the feasts of the Lord. The feasts of the Lord need to be taken from the Bible and any explanation which is found within the Bible and nowhere else. So when you start adding these things in, you're doing basically what Paul is doing here. You're taking things that don't belong in your current dispensation, in your current theology, and you're adding them in, and you have convoluted theology.